Hello everyone, this is 10 for the Chairman. For those of you who haven't seen this show yet, this is where I take 10 questions from the subscribers and answer them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and answer the first question from Amra Khan. And Amra Khan asks, with the new YouTube copyright issued with companies redacting videos or claiming them as their own, will you allow videos of Star Citizen? So the simple answer is yes. I mean, we're actually quite excited when everyone's sharing videos of Star Citizen. It was really cool to watch everyone show off their hangar and how the different ships looked and kind of the fun and shenanigans they got up to. So we're sort of in favor of you guys sharing gameplay, hangar videos, whatever it would be as far as that. So we'll be trying our best to not tell YouTube to block the content. Okay, next question is from Professor. Who asked, will the insurance premium go up the more you lose your ship? So that's a pretty good question. We haven't fully balanced that sort of stuff yet. We've had discussions about, obviously, if someone's constantly losing their ship or doing dumb things like ramming into other people, then there should be a penalty because that would happen in the real world. And you don't want to encourage bad behavior. You just don't want to punish someone for being unlucky and having to get attacked by, whether it's NPCs or players, it's still you've lost your ship, right? So we still have to balance that, but I would say that the general idea is if there is sort of like a sniff of something like insurance fraud or sort of bad behavior, then maybe the insurance premium would go up to sort of dissuade you from like doing things like using your ship as a ramming, as a weapon in dogfighting. But not fully decided. That will be a balanced thing that we'll tune as we go along. Okay, the next question is from Mei Lin, who asks, how will we be able to disengage from combat? Will it always require us to have a faster ship than our adversaries, or will there be other ways to evade them? Again, that's another good question, and that's a balance thing. So haven't 100% figured out, would it always just be about outrunning, or would there be other ways? I mean, we're certainly going to allow you to control sort of your radar image in terms of like how hot or quiet you are, basically. And so there potentially could be, depending on the situation and the environment, there definitely could be places where you could essentially, say, hide behind an asteroid field and really turn all your systems off, and then you'd have almost no radar profile, and then you would sort of go off people's scopes, and then they could potentially pass along. So that would be one way to get out of it. And then, of course, if you had a faster ship, then potentially you could get away too. And we're kind of thinking of some dynamics that would sort of fall into the whole sort of rationale behind, when we cap the velocity at the low speeds, but we still allow you to reach much higher speeds, obviously, when you're traveling between, say, nav points in space, because in those cases, you're just accelerating in a straight line or not. So I haven't fully figured all that out, but we're going to try and come up with some good ways, but also have it a way so you can't always run away from combat, because that wouldn't be that much fun for a bunch of other people. So again, a balance thing. Okay, next question is from Big Bad Abum. Big Bad Bum. Next question is from Big Bad Abum. And Big Bad Abum asks, how will in-game ship buying and selling work in Star Citizen? In the good old Wing Commander privateer game, I had to search the verse for different traders and compare the available offers. I could imagine in Star Citizen that it would be the same, but with more details like negotiate prices, options, organize transports, etc. So definitely in Star Citizen, I kind of want the sort of buying and selling to be immersive. So you walk into a showroom and there's actually an NPC sales guy there, and he's telling you why you should really be stepping up to this particular model, 300i spaceship, and sort of make it feel like you would be buying something in the real world. On top of that, so there'll be some, we'll have some idea for negotiating prices, make it fun. And also I kind of want to make the gameplay be very focused around forcing you as a player to adventure around the universe. So for instance, you shouldn't be able to go to every planet and buy exactly the same ships on every planet. So I want you to be able to go from one corner of the galaxy because this is the place they make the best dogfighter, and the other side of the galaxy is the place they make the best information runner. And so you sort of go around and adventure around to buy different equipment and different ships. So you make the trek to go to this one corner in the universe where the guy is the best gunsmith ever and he can increase the range of your long-range ballistic weapon by 20%. And so the idea would be you would sort of fly around the galaxy and cover obviously a lot of light years, trying to make sure that you've got the best weapon or the ship you want and all the rest of the stuff. So I think it will be more so than privateer, more so than freelancer. I think it'll work quite well. Okay, next question is from Malcolm Kodiak Knight, who asks, have you given any thoughts to how in-depth the banking account system in the persistent universe will be, and how will it be tied to the org system? So we're still on the early stages of sort of the whole banking account system, but one of the points of the organization is to allow an organization, a group of people, to be able to sort of manage joint finances. So you'll be able to charge the members of your guild or organization membership fees. You'll be able to have a pooled account that you could buy things or buy real estate or do stuff that would be able to shared by the organization and owned by the organization. So I would think that we would try to probably push the banking account system to be fairly sophisticated, not too different than what you get in the real world. I don't know if we're going to have a stock market to the extent that you would potentially have a stock market here in the real world, but we would probably have something that would be fairly similar as well. Okay, next question comes from Daduk Fish, who asks, will there be a way to improve efficiencies with equipment, jobs, tasks, and general actions within the game? In essence, will there be a leveling up system where we can improve our ability to mine resources, haggle prices, fast travel, detect other ships, etc. through man hours, in brackets experience, to unlock new equipment areas and quest submissions? So it's kind of a two-part answer because this is not a traditional MMO. There is no leveling. It's not like you start at level 1 and you'll work your way up to level 20. So a lot of it is to do with your own skill set, but then again, the equipment and things that you've got help you in doing these jobs and tasks. So I think doing things like being a better miner will involve going and mining, doing it, sort of learning the skill, so to speak, yourself, actually doing it, not learning it as in I've gone from level 1 miner to level 5 miner, and having the right equipment. So you'll have to buy the equipment, upgrade your equipment, maybe go to some specialty place that does really 10% better equipment, 20% better equipment. So it's a combination of your actual player skills, you as a person, and then also the equipment you're using will sort of be our version of leveling up. There'll be some stuff where like perhaps you wouldn't be able to operate certain items or equipment without the right license, and you'd have to maybe do some kind of like a driving test, right? So like in today's world, you can't just drive an 18-wheeler truck, you have to have a license to do that. So we may have something like that. But in general, the leveling and tasks will be sort of a more real world based, i.e. based on your skill and the equipment you're using, not based on an arbitrary sort of role-playing level. So I hope that makes sense. So next question is from Supraluminal, and Supraluminal asks, what happens if I fail during the first transit of a jump point? Seems like a quick way to an empty casket. Well, if you were charting the jump point for the very first time, having to fly it yourself, then yes, if you mess up during the charting, it potentially could kill you, or you could be spat out in some random system and you not know how to get home. But generally, if it's already been charted and your nav computer has the jump trajectory and coordinates already programmed in, then you'll automatically make it and you'll be fine. So really the risk in jump points are for the uncharted jump points that you don't have a nav path already set. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. Next question is from Krell, who asks, are asteroids and other space objects built in a modular fashion like the ships? It seems like you could design a few different building blocks for constructing asteroids and then randomly assemble them in lots of different ways. So that is a good question. We definitely have quite a few different asteroids, but we're actually doing R&D right now into a bunch of procedural generation of asteroids and asteroid fields. So, I know there's been a lot of talk about procedural stuff and sort of crafted stuff, which Star Citizen is sort of more of a crafted experience, but we certainly are using elements of procedural generation to help us flesh out a lot of the world. So my goal is to make sure that everything sort of feels designed and crafted, but you use elements of procedural generation to sort of give you the variation that you need. So asteroids are a great example of that, where we have certain rules for asteroids, but we may procedurally be generating the asteroid field or the asteroids themselves. And so we're actually doing some pretty cool and interesting work on it, and down the road we'll probably be sharing that with you guys. The last question, time for the chairman this episode, comes from Christopher Malik, who asks, whatever happened to the star map? I remember a while back in an in-game 3D star map in the works. From the old videos, it looked pretty much done. Any word on when we will see that from the community? So good question. The star map, that was sort of an early prototype that we'd mocked up inside the engine. It's not something that I'm ready to share yet. First of all, we've got a bunch more stuff to do with it in terms of fleshing out all our systems and making sure that we're happy with them, but also just in terms of the interface and how it works. So we're actually doing a lot of work right now on sort of what we call our holo renderer, which is the system that's going to be rendering sort of 3D holographic objects as well as data and text on it, and that's going to underform the pinning of pretty much all of our systems. So that would be the Moby glass that you have as you run around that you've seen in the fiction, sort of your first-person HUD if you've got a combat suit on, your ship HUD, which is when you're flying a ship, and we kind of want it all to sort of have this sort of whether it's an Iron Man feel or a Minority Report feel, or like you've seen in Prometheus, the hollow stuff. But the idea is there's a lot of sort of floating objects that you can manipulate and move around, and obviously the hollow table, the equipment device in the hangar was the very, very preliminary sort of working prototype of using some of this stuff, but we're doing stuff that's well beyond that, that's going to be much cooler, that we haven't shown you guys yet. And that will also be something that will drive the star map and your 3D maps and when you're inside your ships and stuff like that. So it'll be a while before we show it to you, but when you see it, I think you'll be pretty happy. It's going to be pretty cool. Okay, all right, so I hope you guys liked my answers. Thank you very much for writing in the questions. Thank you always for supporting the game project, anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's great to be back here in 2014 and raring to do some awesome stuff this year. So talk to you next week.